I was working a black tie gala at the Astoria Grand Tray in one hand, rent on my mind, chandeliers making everything look expensive even when it wasn't. And in the far corner, there was a little boy in a wheelchair, like a folded chair somebody forgot to put away, navy suit too, serious. For 5 years old, eyes, even older, watching other kids spin with their parents, like joy was happening behind glass. And I don't know what you call the instinct that makes you step out of your lane, but I set the tray down, knelt so he could see a person and not a uniform, and said, "May I steal a dance, sir?" He blinked, like sir wasn't his yet. "I don't see anybody else sitting this one out with style." He stared at his legs. They don't listen. Maybe they just need a better beat. I unfolded the little Walker hands steadier than my heart. He stood with me. One step was a stumble, the next, a scrape, the third, a tiny miracle. And that's the exact moment a whiskey glass cracked against the mezzanine rail, and the music died because a man with a jaw that had never learned sorry was burning holes through me. Cole Harrington, Venture, headlines, Ocean Penthouse. Father, he came down the stairs like a verdict. "What do you think you're doing?" Low voice, worse than loud. I started to answer, but he spoke to his son, Theo. "You were told to take it easy, Dad," she was helping. Enough, then he turned to me. "You don't experiment with my kid's recovery. Wanting isn't walking." I felt my face go hot. He wanted to try, I said. Anyway, and if the ceiling hadn't groaned right, then maybe that would have been the worst moment, but metal complained. A cable snapped like a gunshot. People screamed. I didn't think I yanked. The walker grabbed Theo's chair and drove us backwards so fast, my shoes burned. The wax light, rig smashed where his head had been, glass everywhere. A metal arm kissed my temple, and the world narrowed to a bright dot. When it widened, I was curled over Theo, my ears ringing, and the man who'd just told me I didn't belong was on his knees, hands under my shoulders, human for the first time. "Hey, breathe. He's okay. You did good. You did so damn good." Sirens painted the room red and blue. Yeah, that happened. People think the worst part is the hit to your body. It isn't. The worst part is trying to go back to invisible, and the world refusing. 3 a.m. Hospital eye view. Itch fluorescent hum. And Cole walking in without the armor. "I owe you my son." No press, no posture. Just that. I got angry, because fear is easier than admitting. I can't control everything that's on me. I looked at Theo asleep in the chair. A visitor band on his wrist with a drawing on it. 2 stick figures under a messy circle. A disco ball. "If you squint, he wanted to stand," I said. "He wanted 5 minutes of being like the other kids." Cole nodded. "You made him believe he could." "I haven't done that in a while. I need help, want more degrees in a frame, heart patience, someone who won't treat him like glass. I can pay benefits, training, be his mobility coach, be the person he trusts when the room is loud." I told him the truth. I grew up 12 blocks from a hospital that ignored my brother's pain because we didn't speak the language of copays. I am not gentle with systems that miss the human being in front of them. If I do this, I say the hard thing in front of you. I don't get hidden when the city starts talking. He didn't blink. "Deal one condition." I smiled. "Of course, you let me learn even when I look stupid." We shook hands in the smell of bleach and second chances. The rehab gym on 44th turned into our little rebellion. I made the parallel bars into jungle vines, the foam square into an island, the balance beam into a pirate plank. "You're not a patient today," I'd say. "You're a pilot." Theo liked planes better than dinosaurs. "Okay. Captain, we taxi slow. If we skid, we try again." Falls happened. Tears happened. Laughs did too. And always there in the doorway, like a student who didn't want extra credit but needed it, was Cole, learning to kneel so his eyes matched his son's, learning the difference between helping and rescuing the day. Theo took 4 steps with my hand hovering, and Cole's barely at his elbow. We didn't cheer, we let the quiet land and do its work. Outside the gym, quiet didn't last. Someone's phone caught everything at the gala. A black waitress asking a billionaire's son for a dance, hauling him out of the path of a falling rig. The internet flipped the coin. It always flips half hero, half liar, a blog called Me a Climber, from busser to billionaire's nanny. Overnight, the board at Harrington Capital smelled liability. They came into the glass conference room 2 by 2, smiles that didn't move their eyes. Protocols, exposure, reputational risk, they said to Cole. Like I wasn't there. I didn't wait for permission. Say my name. The room blinked, Cole said wryly, like a seatbelt warning. You're measuring me with the wrong yardstick, I told them. I'm not here to be safe, I'm here to help him be brave. If you think the risk is me, and not the world, that made a 5-year-old the saddest decoration in the room, you should try visiting our therapy hour. Cole slid a folder across the table, so calm it sounded loud. New role, my personal funds, Director of Pediatric Independence Initiatives. She reports to me resignations accepted. If a woman without an Ivy invoice scares you, nobody slid anything back. A socialite named Marina Queen of ribbon cuttings went on a podcast and smiled through her teeth. Families need trained professionals, not good intentions, and 2 nights later, a black sedan idled at the end of my block, engine off, windows, 2 dark envelope under my apartment door, photo of me holding Theo's hand, at the benefit red ink on the back. He isn't yours, walk away. I burned it in my sink and watched the ash collapse, shaking anyway. I didn't tell Cole right away because fear doesn't need a megaphone. Then the loading dock at his midtown office caught a small fire spray-painted message before security scrubbed it. Protect her, and you burn too. He showed up at the gym, tight as a drum. I'm increasing security at your place, mine the clinic. Do it, I said. But don't hide us if we duck every time somebody who hates their own reflection throws a rock. Theo learns difference belongs in a closet, he nodded. And the next morning he stood in front of microphones in a room he usually used to sell futures and said the only thing that mattered. I'm not here as a CEO. I'm here as a father. The person who made my son believe he could walk again is named Riley Carter, if you need a villain, because a black woman didn't ask your permission to do the right thing. Try a mirror, you know what I mean? How many times that's all it takes to change the temperature. Then the twist, a retired nanny named Nora asked to meet me in a coffee shop with cracked tile and tired kindness. She slid me a thumb drive like it stung. I worked for Marina. Her grandson is autistic. She didn't want donors to see him. I recorded things. I should have reported. We played the clips in my kitchen with the fan, ticking like a metronome for truth. Marina's voice bored and sharp. Keep him upstairs. The flapping upsets people if a child is distracting. We lose checks, silence heavy enough to bend the table. Cole didn't dress it up. He played the audio at his next statement. Reporters gasped, boards, cut ties. Marina disappeared behind hedges and PR, and the story stopped. Being just about me, it became about every kid someone tried to hide behind a polite smile. We didn't win the internet. You never do. We won something better. Theo slept with his brace by the bed instead of under it. We left the city for a minute, when the volume got silly. Cole had a farmhouse in Cotton Ridge that still smelled like somebody's grandma baked biscuits. Their fields, like gold, blankets, porch swing that knew secrets. Breakfast was eggs, a little too brown, and bacon perfectly wrong for people with green juicers. Theo looked out the window and said, I want to touch that tree, a sycamore halfway down the hill. Then we make a plan, I told him. We strapped braces, checked. The walker stepped out into honest air. Cole walked on his other side. Not grabbing, not flinching. Just there, halfway down. Theo froze and looked at me for the answer. I didn't reach in, it's just ground. We've met, ground before. What do we say? He whispered. Try again. Louder, try again. He lifted, placed, breathed. When we reached the bark, I let the tears happen, not pretty, not performative. True, you did that. We did, he said. Back in Harbor City, we turned an old library into the Theo Carter Center for Independence. Because the man with the money said, put my name on it, and I said, we'll do it my way. Murals painted by kids, doors wide enough for wheelchairs. Without bruised fingers, staff who knew the difference between pity and respect on opening night. I took the mic, even though speeches make me itch, and said I came into a rich room as a waitress who dared to see a kid. As a kid, I don't have letters after my name, but I have the kind of stubborn that holds a child's fear in one hand and their future in the other, and says, we'll walk together. Inclusion isn't charity, it's justice. People clapped, like they'd been holding their breath for years. Theo tugged my dress. Can we dance always? We did slow circles on a floor that had seen too many egos and not enough joy. His feet were steadier, his laugh louder, and Cole watched us with a face that had finally learned how to show up even when it was messy. A few weeks later, a note in a plain envelope. Peace is rented, not owned. Be careful who you trust. Next, neat handwriting that felt like patience and poison. I showed it to Cole after my pulse calmed. He read it once, set it down like you set down something you refuse to carry. We keep the doors open, he said. We keep walking. Do we still get side eyes in rooms where the carpet costs more than my first car? Yes. Do the emails still mistake kindness for weakness and my skin for a ladder? Yes. Do we back down? No. Not when a 7-year-old tells his story with his chin high. Not when a dad who learned to kneel keeps showing up on the hard days. Not when the lobby is loud with families who finally feel welcome. So here's the question that won't leave me the night of the gala. If I'd stayed in my lane, if I'd let the whispers write the rules, would a little boy still be believing that standing is worth the fall? Or did breaking the script make room for a better one? You tell me, was I right to ask a lonely kid for a dance in a room that only wanted him for a photo? Or was I reckless for cracking the pretty lighting so the truth could get in? I want your take, your city, your story. Drop it in the comments. Argue with me about whether inclusion is charity or justice. Tell me what you've seen in rooms like that. And if you believe ordinary courage can change everything, hit subscribe, share this with the one person who needs it tonight. I'll be in the replies listening.